If you've ever stood in your living room or kitchen and quietly whispered, "Where do I even start?" you are not alone. Over the years, life fills our homes with memories, paperwork, gifts from loved ones, and items we've held on to just in case. But somewhere along the way, all that stuff can start to feel less like comfort and more like clutter. It's not just about space, it's about energy, peace of mind, and the freedom to enjoy the life you've built. The good news? You don't have to do it all at once. With a few small, intentional steps, you can let go of the overwhelm and reclaim your home, one space at a time. If you've ever stood in your living room or kitchen and thought, "Where do I even start?" you are not alone. Over the years, we all collect things, keepsakes, paperwork, gifts, and items tied to moments we never want to forget. But slowly, those piles can shift from comforting to overwhelming. They can drain your energy, make everyday tasks harder, and leave you feeling stuck in the past. The good news is, you don't need to get rid of everything, and you don't need to do it all at once. You just need a place to begin, because even one small step, like clearing a single drawer or letting go of one box, can give you a sense of peace and control again. You're not losing memories. You're making room to live fully in the present. In this video, I'll share my top 5 minimalism tips that anyone over 60 can start using today. These aren't about tossing everything or living out of a suitcase. They're about creating space for clarity, calm, and the things that truly matter. You'll learn how to simplify your home, your daily routine, and even your thoughts, all in a way that feels doable and meaningful. No pressure, no perfection, just small changes that can bring big relief. If you've been craving a fresh start, this is your reset. Tip number 1. Start with one small space. One of the biggest mistakes people make when trying to simplify is starting too big. It's easy to look around and feel overwhelmed by everything. The closets, the garage, the kitchen cabinets, the papers stacked on the counter. When you try to take it all on at once, you burn out before you even begin. That's why the very first tip is simple. Start small. Really small. Pick one drawer, one shelf, one surface, something that feels manageable. The goal isn't to change your whole house in a day. It's to create a small win that gives you energy to keep going. For me, I chose my nightstand. It might not seem like a big deal, but it made a bigger difference than I expected. I'd gotten so used to the clutter, old books, expired lotion, notes I hadn't looked at in years, that I didn't even notice how much it was affecting me. It became normal, but every night, I was going to bed next to a pile of unfinished tasks and forgotten things. No wonder I felt unsettled. It took just 10 minutes. I pulled everything out, wiped it down, and asked myself, do I use this? Do I love this? Does it belong here? If the answer was no, it went in a donate or toss pile. I kept only the essentials, my reading glasses, a book I'm actually reading, hand lotion, and a small photo of my granddaughter that makes me smile every night. The result? I slept better that night. Not because the drawer itself changed my life, but because that one simple act gave me a sense of control again. I didn't feel buried in stuff. I didn't feel stuck. I had taken one step, and that felt good. Here's why this works so well, especially for us as we get older. It's not overwhelming. Starting small prevents decision fatigue. You won't exhaust yourself before you even make progress. It builds momentum. Once you feel the win, you're far more likely to move to the next drawer or space. It creates emotional clarity. Physical clutter often mirrors mental clutter. Removing one often helps release the other. It respects your energy. At this stage in life, your time and energy are precious. You don't need to push yourself to the point of burnout. Progress can still be powerful, even when it's slow. So if you're not sure where to start, try this. Right now, or after this video, walk over to the space you use most often. Maybe it's your nightstand. Maybe it's the kitchen junk drawer. Or maybe it's the little basket where you toss the mail. Set a timer for 10 minutes. Not an hour, just 10. Clear it out. Keep only what you need and love, and let the rest go. You'll be amazed at how even that tiny shift can lift a weight off your shoulders. And if you feel resistance, that "what if I need this someday" feeling, that's normal. Let yourself feel it. But remind yourself, you are not your stuff. Letting go doesn't erase your past. It makes room for your present. Minimalism doesn't have to mean empty walls and bare shelves. It means intentional living. Keeping the things that support your life today, not the things that hold you back. So again, start small. One space, one drawer, one decision. That's where the reset begins. Tip number 2, the 3-box method. Keep, donate, let go. This one system helped me sort 20 years of belongings without the guilt. After decades of living, we don't just collect things, we collect moments, stories, people, and memories. So when it comes time to declutter, it's not as easy as tossing things into a trash bag. Every object seems to whisper, "Remember when?" And suddenly, we're frozen. That's exactly how I felt when I first opened the closet in my guest room. It had become a storage space for everything. I didn't know what to do with old clothes, forgotten gifts, boxes of papers, and holiday items I hadn't used in years. I closed the door more times than I care to admit because I didn't want to face it. Then I discovered the 3-box method. Simple, structured, and surprisingly effective. Here's how it works. You bring 3 boxes or bags into the space you're decluttering. Label them clearly. Keep, donate, let go for trash, recycling, or shredding. That's it, just 3 categories. But here's why it's powerful. 1. It removes indecision. When you touch an item, you ask yourself, do I use this? Do I need this? Do I love this? If the answer is yes, it goes in the keep box. If it's still useful but not for you, it goes in donate. And if it's broken, expired, or truly no longer needed, it goes in let go. 2. It limits emotional overwhelm. You're not deciding the fate of your entire home in one day. You're just making a decision about one item at a time and placing it where it belongs. It turns a big emotional job into a series of small, manageable choices. 3. It creates closure. Seeing your donate box fill up reminds you that your things can bless someone else. Letting go doesn't mean loss, it means release. You're giving items a second life, while freeing yourself from what no longer serves you. How I used it. That guest room closet? It held 20 years of belongings. And yes, I found things that made me pause. A sweater from my late husband. A stack of holiday cards, gifts I never used but felt bad parting with. But instead of letting guilt stop me, I followed the system. The sweater? I kept one that meant the most and donated the others to a local shelter. The cards? I read through them, picked my favorites, and let go of the rest. The unused gifts? They went straight into the donate box, where they could finally be appreciated. Each choice gave me a little more peace, a little more space, and most importantly, it gave me back a room I could actually use and enjoy. If you're feeling stuck, here are a few gentle questions that helped me. Would I buy this again today? Does this item add stress or peace to my life? Am I holding on to this out of love or out of guilt? Could someone else benefit from this more than I am? If something is tied to a memory, but you don't use or need it, consider taking a photo of it. That way, you keep the memory without keeping the physical item. Don't linger too long with each item. Set a timer if you need to. 10 to 15 seconds per item is usually enough to know which box it belongs in. Trust yourself. Your instincts are often right. And if you get emotional, that's okay too. This isn't just about clearing space. It's about honoring your past without letting it crowd your present. Here's your action step. Pick one closet, drawer, or corner. Bring your 3 boxes. Start with just 20 to 30 minutes. You don't need to do it all, just enough to feel lighter. Even a small amount of progress can create a sense of peace you didn't know you were missing. Because at the end of the day, the goal of minimalism isn't to own less. It's to make room for clarity, calm, and the next chapter of your life. You've carried so much. It's okay to set some of it down now. Tip number 3. Let go of the someday items. If you haven't used it in 2 years, you probably won't. Free your future from your past. We all have them. The craft supplies we swore we'd get around to. The fitness gear we were saving for when the time is right. The clothes that haven't fit in years, but might again someday. The kitchen gadgets we used once. The boxes of fabric. The stacks of old magazines with recipes we meant to try. These are our someday items. And here's the hard truth. Someday almost never comes. We keep these things because they represent a version of ourselves we once were, or a version we wish we still could be. And sometimes, letting go feels like giving up. But the reality is, holding on too long weighs us down. Not just physically, but mentally and emotionally too. Here's what I learned. Letting go isn't failure. It's freedom. Why someday items are so heavy. Every object in your home takes up space, and every unfinished project or unused item quietly sends a message. You should be doing this. You used to be more active. You're not who you were. Even when we don't realize it, that silent pressure builds up. And for many of us over 60, it can turn into guilt or regret that we carry around without even knowing it. But what if the real act of self-respect is releasing what no longer fits our life today? Here's a simple truth I hold on to. You are allowed to grow out of things. You are allowed to change. You are allowed to say, that was for a different time in my life, and that time has passed. My experience, the art supplies closet. Years ago, I used to paint. Watercolors, mostly. It was something I did in the evenings when the house was quiet. I hadn't picked up a brush in over a decade, but I kept all the paints, the brushes, the sketchbooks, just in case. I told myself I'd get back to it when things slowed down. After retirement, then after grandkids, then after health issues cleared up. But deep down, I knew that season had ended. One afternoon, I sat down and opened the supply bin. The paints were dried up. The brushes were stiff. The paper had yellowed. And I realized something powerful. I wasn't keeping these supplies for future use. I was keeping them because I didn't want to admit I'd moved on. And that's okay. I kept one small set of brushes and donated the rest to a local senior center's art program. I felt a surprising mix of relief and joy, because instead of holding on to who I was, I made space for who I am now, and maybe even who I'm becoming. How to let go of someday without guilt. Name the season. Ask yourself, was this item meant for a season of my life that has passed? Not everything is meant to last forever. Letting go honors the fact that you lived fully in that time and are ready for what's next. Set a 2-year rule. If you haven't used it in 2 years, chances are you won't. This isn't about being harsh, it's about being honest. Time tells the truth about what we really need. Release the pressure. Those clothes, books, tools, gadgets, if they're making you feel bad every time you see them, they're not helping. Guilt is not a reason to keep something. Peace is a reason to let it go. Choose legacy over storage. If an item holds meaning, but you're no longer using it, consider passing it on now. Give the quilt supplies to someone who will use them. Donate the fishing gear to a young family. Legacy isn't just about what you leave after you're gone. It's what you choose to share while you're still here. Write it down, then release it. If it's too hard to part with an item because of the memory attached, try writing about it. A short note about what it meant, what it symbolized, or who it reminds you of. Then let it go. You're keeping the story, not the stuff. A gentle reminder. Minimalism isn't about living with nothing. It's about living with what matters now. At this stage of life, every drawer, every shelf, every corner of your home has value, not just for storage, but for peace of mind. When you let go of the things that no longer serve you, you create space. Space to breathe, space to rest, space to do the things that bring joy in this chapter of life, not the last one. Letting go of someday is a beautiful, brave act of choosing the present. And sometimes, that's all it takes to feel lighter again, not just in your home, but in your heart. Tip number 4, schedule white space, not just on shelves. In your day, a simplified calendar gave me room to breathe and say yes to what truly matters. When people think about decluttering, they often picture stuff, closets, drawers, garages. But there's another kind of clutter that weighs just as heavily, a crowded calendar. We don't talk about it as much, but time clutter can be just as overwhelming as physical clutter. And for many of us, especially later in life, it sneaks in quietly through obligations, routines, habits, and favors we say yes to, even when we're not really sure we want to. The truth is, simplifying your life doesn't end with your shelves or storage bins. It continues into your schedule, how you spend your hours, how often you rush, and how often you pause. And the good news is, you're allowed to make space for nothing. What is white space? White space isn't laziness. It's not wasted time. It's intentional breathing room. Space in your day with no agenda, no appointments, no background noise of tasks waiting to be done. Think of it like the margin on a piece of paper. Without it, the words would feel crammed and unreadable. White space gives your day rhythm. It lets your body rest and your mind settle. For me, learning to schedule white space was a total reset. I used to fill every square on the calendar. Doctor visits, volunteer commitments, errands, helping friends, watching the grandkids, cooking, cleaning. It felt nonstop. And even though everything I was doing seemed worthwhile, I was exhausted. One day, I realized I wasn't really enjoying anything. I was just checking off boxes, moving through the day without any room to breathe. That's when I tried something new. I started scheduling blocks of time for nothing. Just like I'd block off a haircut or an appointment. I'd mark an hour on my calendar with no plan, and I honored it like I would any commitment. During that time, I'd sit quietly, go for a short walk, read something light, or just enjoy the stillness. No guilt, no shoulds. The impact was immediate. Why seniors especially need white space. As we age, our energy changes. So do our priorities. But often, the world doesn't adjust with us. We're still expected to move fast, stay busy, and be available. And many of us still carry the habit of doing to feel useful. But here's the truth. Rest is productive. Slowness is healing. Margin is powerful. White space gives your mind a break from constant decision-making. It gives your body a moment to reset. And most importantly, it creates emotional space, the kind that lets you reflect, appreciate, and simply be. You've spent decades serving, working, giving. You deserve time that isn't filled just because it can be. You deserve time that's open and available for what matters. Now, not what used to fill your calendar. How to start scheduling white space. Look for openings, not gaps. This isn't about squeezing white space in between a million other things. It's about creating it. Block off time with intention. Even 30 minutes in the morning or afternoon makes a difference. Say no, so you can say yes. Protect your time the way you protect your home. If someone asks for something during your white space, it's okay to say, "I'm not available then." You don't owe anyone a full calendar to prove your worth. Choose presence over productivity. Use white space to do something slow and restorative. Journaling, quiet tea, prayer, walking, listening to music, or simply sitting in the sun. It doesn't need to be useful. It just needs to be yours. Let go of the guilt. At first, you might feel like you're wasting time. That's normal. We've been conditioned to equate busyness with value. But over time, white space will become the most valuable part of your day because it gives you back yourself. A thought to carry with you. Simplifying your day is just as important as simplifying your space. Your schedule should reflect your life now, not your life 10 or 20 years ago, and it's okay to slow down. In fact, slowing down might be the bravest thing you do, because in those quiet, open moments, you remember who you are beyond your to-do list. You reconnect with what brings you peace, and you create space for what truly matters: family, health, laughter, reflection, rest. Decluttering isn't just about less stuff. It's about less pressure, less rush, less noise. White space gives you permission to live on your terms, not out of habit or obligation, but from intention. So today, look at your calendar. Find one block, just one, and protect it. That's your white space, your pause, your power. Tip number 5, digitize sentimental items. You don't have to keep every photo or letter to keep the memory. If you've ever opened an old box and instantly felt like you were stepping into another lifetime, you know the power of sentimental items. A faded photo, a handwritten letter, a birthday card from someone you haven't seen in years. These things carry stories, emotion, identity, and they're hard to part with. That's why many of us have closets, drawers, and even entire rooms filled with items we rarely look at but feel too guilty to let go of. But here's the truth. You can preserve the memory without keeping every physical item. You're not throwing away your history. You're simply making it easier to hold on to what matters most and releasing what's become a burden. Why sentimental clutter is the hardest to let go. When something holds emotional weight, logic goes out the window. It's not about whether we use it. It's about what it represents. The baby clothes remind us of when we were new parents. The travel souvenirs spark memories of adventure. The boxes of family photos tell the story of who we've loved and lost. But here's what happens over time. The more we accumulate, the less we actually see. The most meaningful things get buried under piles of papers or lost in closets we avoid. We think we're preserving memories, but we're really just postponing decisions. You won't believe what I found behind this box. A few months ago, I decided to go through the bottom of an old storage cabinet I hadn't opened in years. Tucked behind a pile of binders and greeting cards, I found a letter from my father, written just a few weeks before he passed. I didn't even remember I had it. Reading it brought me to tears. It was beautiful, heartfelt, and deeply personal. But it also reminded me that it had been buried, literally, for over a decade. That's when it hit me. If something is that important, it shouldn't be buried in a box. It should be somewhere I can actually access, revisit, and share. So I scanned it. Now it's saved in 3 places: on my computer, on a cloud backup, and printed in a slim photo book I keep on my shelf. The original? I let it go with love. I don't need the paper to feel the meaning. I kept the memory and made it easier to return to. How digitizing can help you declutter without regret. Preserve without the pile. Digitizing lets you hold on to the emotional value without the physical bulk. You can keep 1,000 photos in the space it takes to hold a tablet. Reduce decision fatigue. Instead of having to decide what stays and what goes, digitize everything important. Then let the paper go once you're ready. It eases the process emotionally. Make memories more accessible. How often do we actually open those boxes in the attic? By digitizing, you can revisit your favorite memories anytime, anywhere. You can even share them with family at the click of a button. Protect legacy items from damage. Photos fade. Paper gets torn. But digital copies preserve everything exactly as it is, permanently. This one change saved me 30 minutes every morning. I used to keep a box of old notes and reminders in the kitchen just in case. Birthdays, addresses, recipes from old magazines, all handwritten, all important in their time. But over the years, that box turned into a black hole. Every time I needed something, I had to dig for it. One weekend, I scanned the most used items and tossed the rest. Now everything I need is in one folder on my phone. No more digging, no more mess, just clarity. That single change saved me 30 minutes every week, and probably some sanity. 2. Getting started with digitizing. It's easier than you think. You don't need to be a tech expert to digitize your items. Here's a simple path forward. Start with what matters most. Pick 10 to 15 items you'd be heartbroken to lose. Old letters, favorite photos, special documents. Use a simple scanner or app. Many home printers have a scanning feature. Or try an app like Google Photo Scan or Adobe Scan. They're free and easy to use with a smartphone. Label and organize clearly. Create folders by year, person, or category. Label them in a way that's easy to search and makes sense to you. Back everything up. Save your digital memories in at least 2 places: a computer and a cloud. Service like Google Drive, Dropbox, or iCloud. That way, even if your device fails, your memories are safe. Share the joy. Send scanned letters to your kids or grandkids. Create a digital album for your spouse or best friend. Let your memories be lived, not hidden. Letting go doesn't mean forgetting. It doesn't mean erasing the moments or people who shaped you. It simply means honoring them in a way that brings more peace than pressure. Digitizing gives you the freedom to remember without being buried in paper. It turns a cluttered box into a curated archive. It transforms overwhelm into order. And most importantly, it lets you decide what to carry forward and what to release with gratitude. You deserve a home that reflects who you are now, not just who you were. And by letting go of the physical, you make space for the emotional to breathe, reflect, and reconnect with what matters most. Now, when I wake up, I see a calm, clean space. No piles waiting for attention. No clutter whispering reminders of things left undone. Just peace. And that peace doesn't come from having less. It comes from making room for what matters more. More time, more ease, more presence. Minimalism isn't about getting rid of everything. It's about choosing what supports the life you want to live now, not the one you lived years ago. It's about releasing the noise so you can finally hear yourself again. When you simplify, you're not losing anything. You're gaining clarity, freedom, and space to truly enjoy this chapter of life. What's one area of your home, or even your life, you'd love to simplify? Let me know in the comments. I read every response, and your idea might just be featured in an upcoming video. And if today's tips gave you even one idea to clear space, ease stress, or feel more in control, give this video a thumbs up and hit subscribe. There's more where this came from. Simple, senior-friendly ways to create space for what truly matters.